Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's House Divided, Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff, he's Chad. We'll be with you for a little while talking Texas football, Texas athletics. Probably a little bit of everything in between. It's probably a little bit of Texas hoops today, given what you can find over at orangebloods.com. But before we get too deep into everything, like, comment, subscribe to the page. We do appreciate that. We love it when you guys do that. Join the chat in the Specs chat. Chat it up. Send us some super chats. We'll be engaging with the community when we can. But a couple of things. One, the show is brought to you by the guys over at Texas Card House. I'm playing at Hijack Poker right now. I'm in the nooner, which never gets my undivided attention, and I wouldn't suggest is the best way to go through online poker is to casually watch. For instance, I think, Chad, I'm having some connection issues today. Like, that's what I'm learning. So I may have to make a hard call and bail on the show.
When you say you're learning, who are you learning it from? You look fine to me.
It's the thing is happening where I am trying to play a hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not saying that your House Divided experience is being affected. You're saying that your Hijack Poker experience is being affected.
That was the joke, yes.
Yes.
The joke was the Hijack Poker that experience was being impacted. Because I was telling you I'm in this tournament playing right now, and for whatever reason, it's just kind of being a little bit more of a pain. Okay. Nevertheless, we do love our sponsors. So here's the deal. We're running a promotion over at orangebloods.com. 50% off an entire year. You guys always want to know when we're running specials. Here you go. What I would tell you right now is I think our coverage in the last month has been as good as any coverage that we've had. I feel like we've elevated our recruiting coverage into something that has never existed before in any market, on any website covering recruiting ever. Like, I really believe we're producing that kind of content in addition to stuff that we just kind of always do, in addition to the best community and message board on the planet. That's not me being full of hyperbole. That's literally, I've won awards because of the message board community. We are kind of world famous because of the message board community. So go check it out. This is the time. If you've ever thought about it, spring football has started up. We've got the war room tonight. But one of the things that we had today was my Truth and Lies column on Orange Bloods. And when Chad and I got on the phone, I was like, look, man, there's good stuff in there. You tell me where we start. There's some football. There's some basketball. I actually think the most interesting, juicy stuff is the basketball stuff, but we know what pays the bills.
I know. I do too. That's exactly the thought I had. We should probably head down the football path to start with, but we definitely need to get to that basketball.
You guys need to know. Look, we're gonna give you your meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
We're giving you the football stuff.
Yes.
What I would suggest is hang around long enough for us to eventually get to the basketball stuff.
Definitely.
It's all kinds of fascinating. I have to admit, I've kind of been sitting on it for a few days. I think I brought it up maybe even on Monday, a little bit of it.
Yeah, you did a little tease, a little pre-tease, but now we can really get into it.
I knew that nobody else was going to have that. I knew I could save it for Truths and Lies.
Yeah.
And so we'll get to it. I promise you, you won't have ever heard this anywhere else. And so we'll get into it probably in a way that you wouldn't have guessed. But let's start with football. Chad, you tell me. A lot of that stuff is stuff that we've discussed already on the show.
Yeah.
Wide receiver and the portal and stuff like that. So for you, where would we start on the football side of things based on Truth and Lies today?
Honestly, from looking at it all, Catch, I think we can just talk about pass catchers and cast a pretty wide net. The wide receiver portal is something I know we've talked about, but that note, in terms of the Truth and Lies, it feels like that is not any, that is about as truthy as it can get, that Texas will be in the portal. And so I think that kind of an update is interesting, but also the young receiver stuff, the tight end stuff, the leadership stuff. that's in there about one particular guy. Like, I think all of that is relevant. So I say let's clean up on just pass catchers, because Texas fans are probably concerned about that right now, about who's going to be catching those balls from Arch Manning.
Well, I mean, it's an ongoing conversation. It's, it just kind of is what it is, and in the respect that we talked about on first day of practice. They're down to 8 wide receivers on scholarship. Not all of them are healthy and available in the spring, which has left them in a position where there's a couple of walk-ons running second and third team in the slot, as Dalen McCutcheon, who's a true freshman, man's first team slot because DeAndre Moore is out. You've got 2 guys with real game experience, and then we can quibble over how much we think Parker Livingstone's 22 snaps last year in blowout games. What did that mean? How much game experience really exists? I don't know. It's up for debate. I kind of view it as it's not anything important really at all. And some people view it like, hey, he's got real game experience. Okay. Fair enough. Touche. But the standard that's been set is the last couple of years, it's Matthew Golden, it's Isaiah Bond, it's Adonai Mitchell, it's Xavier Worthy. You like basically to be, and this is where they've been, this I think more than anything is the level they've been reaching with that level of talent, is that's what gets you to the national semifinals. And that if you're not at that talent level, are you still getting to the national semifinals? I would argue that in each of the last 2 seasons, they wouldn't have gone as far as they had without the work in the portal, without the dynamic playmakers that they had. That's kind of what has made that Texas, certainly 2 years ago, but I think even last year, if you take Matthew Golden alone off of the roster, it's a different football team. It is, I don't think they're probably in the SEC championship game, as crazy as that sounds. And maybe they don't advance to a national semifinal. So what was new about what was reported today was that we passed along the specific note that as it relates to that wide receiver position as a whole, the receivers on the roster have been told, or at least one of them has been, that that there are the intentions exist that they will go and get wide receiver help in the portal. So, yeah, it's not rocket science. They need it from a numbers standpoint. They need it from an experience standpoint. We know that Sarkisian loves him some portal wide receivers when he can get his hands on them. They haven't done that yet.
Plus, you don't have to go through. Plus, you don't have to go through some weird exercise where you're faking them into believing that by the end of spring, no, all of you guys could prove yourselves, and we won't need to go in the portal. The honesty early is probably a good idea.
Well, and I think it probably puts a carrot in front of some of these guys' noses that look, now's the time.
Yep.
If you don't want us to go out into the portal and get somebody, be so damn good that we just, hey, he ain't going to start over this guy anyway. So should we spend $700,000 in NIL money to get this guy if he's not even going to start ahead of Parker Livingstone? This is the time to do it. And I think the coaches will feel like, look, if we come out of the spring and still feel like we have to go into the portal to address the wide receiver position, that's kind of on you guys, because it won't be reps we're lacking in the spring.
Right.
I mean, they're at a position where walk-ons are getting second-team reps right now. So everybody's playing. Everybody's going to get key reps. Everybody gets to catch passes with Arch. And then what they've got to decide is what level is our wide receiver position truly at right now? Every single receiver on that roster will have a chance to prove that they should be at the forefront of planning. But yeah, man, the word is already out that they're going to get help. Yeah. What level of help and how much help, whatever happens in the next month, probably go a long way to deciding what those answers are. But it wouldn't shock me if they already have an idea of when the portal opens up on April 16th, who some of the guys that might end up in the portal. That's scuttlebutt. That's why guys have agents. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of as simple as that.
But
And I think they'll have an idea, and I think, it wouldn't shock me if I think they already have an idea of maybe a player or two that will be available that they would have an interest in if and look, sometimes it doesn't happen that way. We talked about Barry and Brown for 3 straight years as a possible portal guy, and then he finally enters the portal. By the way, they love him at LSU.
Is that right?
Oh, they love him.
That dude feels, I mean, when you watch him play and then heard that school, that feels like it's going to fit.
Like they talk about him like they think he's going to be one of their LSU receivers. So we'll see. It'll just be funny knowing that guy's name was a buzzword for 3 years, and then he finally enters the portal. And Texas was a little bit like the little boy who cried wolf. At some point, it was just like, okay, yeah. You're in the portal. The funny thing is, Barry and Brown, very Matthew Golden-ish. If you had brought that guy in, if you're Texas, you're thinking, well, there's our return guy because he's an all-SEC return guy. And then get your ass over here and see what you can do as a pass catcher. But Arch is throwing the ball, so I don't know what else you could want. You're in a Sark offense, and, I think that thing plays differently if they just hadn't been left with a little bit of the Kentucky blue balls on that one over the previous 2 seasons.
That was well done, well crafted. So the question for me, Catch, is like, does it go all the way to 3? That was a good job. Does it go all the way to 3 again? Because last year,
I don't think so. I don't, because there will be other needs.
Right. But in terms of the numbers, last year, what we were talking about was Jonte Cook was the only thing you had coming back, and it was like 8 catches, and only 6 of them were from your starting quarterback or something like that. So this year, it was going to be, and I want to get your thoughts on DeAndre Moore here. It was going to be DeAndre Moore's back, had 39 catches. Wingo's back with 29 catches. Each of them were over 400 yards, 16 and 12 yards on the average. Like, they both did a little bit. 9 touchdowns between the 2 of them. But now that the DeAndre Moore injury has happened, how much do you think does that affect for you the amount of receivers in the portal? Like, are they looking at DeAndre Moore as, we don't know if he's ready to go in Columbus kind of stuff?
I think,
or is it
they look at DeAndre Moore as a guy that could catch 80 balls this year?
Okay, but they think he'll be ready for the whole year.
What's that?
He'll be good for the whole year, though, is what I'm asking. I
mean, I can't Nostradamus injuries, but they're not going into the season like we were with Quinn Ewers a year ago, where it's like, well,
right,
we'll probably get 8. Like, I don't think it's like that. I think they fully expect that he'll be healthy when the season begins, and that. I think whatever the numbers are, that will partly be determined by what they see in the spring. And if Jamie French looks like he's at least at Ryan Wingo's level, then they'll think to themselves, okay, well, he's playing every game if he's at least that good. What is Dalen McCutcheon? What is Khalil Lockett? What is Parker Livingstone? He's running with the first team wide receivers. From an opportunity standpoint, he's going to get a chance to prove himself. What the coaches have to – I think there are 3 questions. One, what is Parker Livingstone's real level at? If he's an NFL guy, but you think he's not I don't know, let's say they don't think of him as a top of the draft kind of a guy, then – do they feel like that's what they need to have, that there's an upgrade needed, that they need that type of offensive playmaking in this offense based on what they've, basically it's like Parker Livingstone is really good. Well, what is really good? And so what is his level? Is it at the level that, quite frankly, they're asking for? And then is there a guy that's at the level that they feel like meets their threshold? And then B, would that guy be an upgrade of Parker Livingstone? And, I think that some of those questions just aren't going to be answered until we get deep enough into this camp where they can answer some of these questions.
Yeah.
And because I don't know how good. I'm not going to damn Parker Livingstone with too much hype or too little hype at this point. I think he's a really talented guy, but is he ready to be a top 2-round player in the NFL level good? I don't even think that's Ryan Wingo. I don't expect Ryan Wingo this year to. We may look at him and think he's eventually going to be that kind of a player, but I'm not expecting 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, Matthew Golden level numbers automatically from Wingo. I expect an increase. I think he will be better. And I think he may be 2 seasons away from being that kind of a guy. And I think that would only mean that maybe he's right on pace. I didn't see enough last year from him for me to automatically think that Ryan Wingo was there weren't many times last year when I watched Ryan Wingo play where I thought, oh, that guy should have been a 5-star. I thought he was really good, but I didn't think to myself, holy crap, that guy is. I mean, there were a couple of them last year. Think about the guys that were 5-star receivers that really splashed last year. There was a guy at Ohio State, if anybody remembers him. And, did he do that? No, I never thought he was quite that. So, I just think the jury's out on this position, but there's no Xavier Worthy that you can bank on. And, by this time last year, they knew that at worst they had a guy in Isaiah Bond who had been a starting level player on a playoff team at Alabama. So there's just a little bit less certainty about what they're going into this season with. The numbers are fewer. I think everybody knows it's something that needs to be addressed.
Would it surprise you if it goes to 3 again? Would it surprise you if they got 3 guys out of the portal again?
Maybe if there's not an injury. But if there was an injury,
sure, yeah.
If I won't even say it out loud because people will get mad. But imagine an injury that would cause a guy to miss an entire season.
Right. Obviously.
If one of those happened, maybe you're at a point where you go into the offseason. It's like, how many guys do we feel like we actually have that are ready to be rotational players? Forget about starters. Guys that we look at as they could have played in our top 5 a year ago. And, I think if they were to take 3, that would tell me that they really think they need help. That it's desperately needed. I think 2, if it's the right 2's probably the number, they're going to get 1. I think they feel like that's absolutely needed. But I think a guy like Parker Livingstone or Jamie French, Khalil Lockett, there's a couple of other guys too. Is Aaron Butler going to do anything? At some point, doesn't he have to? I feel like, you know what? Well, if we don't hear his name much at all this spring, he might as well be hurt. You know what I mean? Like, you either are ready to play or you're not. And as there are certain guys that are entering their 2nd, 3rd seasons, it's kind of now or never. I would look at the wide receiver position and think to myself, if a guy's not being talked about as a potential contributor, when there's only 8 guys on campus and one of them is out right now, and DeAndre Moore, so there's 7 guys on campus. If you can't do it now, maybe this is actually not a program that you're good enough to participate at. And that's when you probably get to a point where you probably might see a guy think about portaling at that point. If we can talk about it as plainly as this, there will be guys out of that 7 or 8 that are 6, 7, and 8, and will have to ask themselves a tough question about, hey, what am I here? And is it ever going to change? And am I okay with that?
All right, Catch. I think we've waited long enough. I'm going to talk about the chats, and then I think you need to talk about the basketball notes that are in Truth and Lies. We remind you, you can super chat. It will go right to the top of the list. Thank you all for jumping in. Thanks to Brian, who just wanted to give us some love today. Catch, Chad. Hard to be here all the hours that y'all are, but happy to drop and hear you fine gents talking ball. Brian, we're glad we fooled you into believing that we're fine gents. No one that knows us would ever
give him your snobby voice.
Yeah. Oh yes, fine gents. Thank you, Brian. Yes, we're here to talk sports and other things every day. Yes.
It's been too long since I've heard the snobby voice.
Yeah,
so thank you, Brian, for allowing me to put that request in.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Also, thank you to Mark. Odd year 2025 plus Bochy. Rangers win the World Series. Is that what you're trying to start, Mark? I like the idea. It used to be even year in San Francisco with Bochy. You're saying now it's odd year. I hope you're right. As a Rangers fan, I do hope you're right about that one. And speaking of that Specs chat, let's hear from Specs. Get all stocked up. Sweet 16 starts today as we're talking on a Thursday. Get it all at Specs.
At Specs, it doesn't cost a lot to turn a good time into a great time, especially if you like saving money. From connoisseur collectors to aficionados of ale, you'll find bubbly bliss at any budget with a Texas-sized selection of world-class wines, rare spirits, craft beers, and more. So when you're getting ready for a good time, Specs is ready to make it great. Because at Specs, the fun starts here.
Shout Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you, shout. Cheers to saving.
And a big shout out to Specs. All right, Catch. So to me, this time of year, with football getting cranked up, even though I understand it's Sweet 16 time, if you were going to start the Truth and Lies section, the column this week, with anything basketball, it needed to have like a Scooby-Doo in it. And it kind of did, because I saw that name and that assertion, and I thought, oh, well, let's read on. So let's get an update here on, in case people missed you sort of mentioning it earlier in the week, what monster name are you hearing might have seriously considered Texas not that long ago?
The thing is, my expectations were not to find out that Bill Self was a real candidate for Texas this year. But Bill Self's name had been mentioned enough on Orange Bloods that I thought, you know what? God forbid Bill Self, it turns out, gets a phone call from Texas. And I just didn't even make a call because I was lazy. So
because he's got that big fish feel to him where I would say, if I'm going to be Texas and the whole be Texas thing, I'd make him say no, but I would expect a no, like pretty much every time.
Well, and his name for a decade had been mentioned with Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is, I don't know, there was a mutual respect there. And there was always this sense that, hey, man, if Kansas didn't exist, Bill Self, and there had even been, God, it's been long enough now that I don't even remember the details, but there had been talk that a long time ago that back when Barnes was still here and there started to be thought process of, when and should a change be made. There had always been talk that Self had been a guy that with previous athletic directors had kind of communicated, hey man, let me know. At least let me know. I might tell you it's not the right time, right? Or no, but hey man, at least call me. So that was kind of the historical backdrop there. But I was kind of making a call just to get it like this is not going to happen. And the call went in a direction in talking to one of my sources that has a real, I have a KU source that I trust really well. And he was like, look, Catch, he's like, I don't think anything's going to happen because There's some health stuff going on with Self now, and he didn't really get into specifics. And quite honestly, I couldn't remember, did something happen with Bill Self or not?
Yeah,
but
I didn't remember that either.
But like apparently he's got, he's getting older. So like, he's a man. So it is what it is. Like, he's older, he's getting older as a man.
Yeah, and Bill Self is one of those guys that's kind of cursed with a baby face. If you think about it, like Bill Self has just looked like that for about 30 years, and we forget that he can age, but he's doing that.
So he was like, they've got a guy, I forget what his name is. He's the number 3. He's a 5-star number 3 overall player in the Rivals rankings. At KU, they think he's the best guard that Bill Self has ever recruited.
Oh, jeez.
That's what they're telling themselves.
Yeah, Darren Peterson.
They're saying that this, you'd think I would remember the name. I've written it down like 10 times in the last.
Hey, you know what? You just gave it back to me because I just read it directly from Truth and Lies.
And I just forgot that I had typed that out earlier. But they think this guy is a once in Bill Self's lifetime kind of player, which I got to be honest, from the outside looking in,
dude,
I was like, good God, like what kind of pressure is he? Kevin Durant? Like, what is it? I can't wait to find out.
You're thinking about the guys he's coached. He's coached a few, Bill Self.
And apparently this guy's getting $1 million from a shoe contract and at least or more than $3 million from KU.
Wow.
So this guy was like, Bill Self ain't going anywhere because he's been waiting his life to coach this guy. And then he goes, but just so you know, and he was like, hey, do not quote me on this. This is not. And so this guy ended up not being directly quoted with his name in anything, Chad, from a bandy of stories that I've done over the course of the last week. He may or may not have had a thought on on Texas's scholarship limits. So anyway, he was telling me, and I don't know that this has ever been reported anywhere. I have no idea. I don't know what they talk about on KU message boards. But what he was telling me was he gave real serious consideration to leaving Kansas for Oklahoma State last year.
Wow. Because that would be a kind of go home for him, right?
Yes.
Or he's an Oklahoma guy.
And his wife's from Oklahoma. And apparently there may be some family health issues going on, older members, like moms and dads kind of a thing.
Right. Be closer to them. I got you.
Exactly.
Right.
And then he said, this source I was talking to, oh, if Texas had called him 2 years ago, I definitely think he takes the Texas job.
Wow. Wow. Come on now. Hey.
That's not why I called, Chad. I did not call for that.
You were just trying to check a box, right? You were just trying to check something off your list, and you ended up in that.
I was like, hey, man, maybe just keep your ear to the cement with regards to Texas with Self. And he's like, oh, catch. Nothing's happening now. And he laid out the reasons why it wasn't going to happen now. And then he was like, but 2 years ago, if Texas calls him, he thinks he leaves. That the dynamics that exist today, he goes, one of the things that also happened with the thing, so how did they keep him from leaving Oklahoma State or leaving for Oklahoma State when he was given it some real consideration? They committed to him, you will have the largest NIL spending budget in the country. And he was like, so last year, nobody spent more money in the portal than KU did. And the guy that I was talking to just flatly said, Catch, he bought some dogs.
He went to one of them high price pet stores and just started picking up big dogs.
Not good big dogs though.
Yeah.
Like dogs as in bad ponies. He bet on the wrong guys. It wasn't an issue.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It wasn't an issue of they just bought poorly. They selected poorly, but they had the money to do anything and everything that they would have wanted to do.
Okay.
And he still does. In fact, we were talking about it, and he's like, look, from an NIL, it would be really interesting to watch a school like Kansas, which makes so much money off of basketball, that football's not automatically the dominant driver of revenue. There's a good chance that on top of, so what they did last year was, I think, 6.5, 7 million in NIL spending at KU. So if you're wondering what the previous bar was, that was kind of it. That's what KU was doing. And they feel pretty confident that nobody spent more money than they did.
Right.
So now, for them, there's talk of that 20 million plus settlement, the 20.5 or whatever, that as much as 5 million or more of that money will go to basketball. Hasn't been completely announced and figured out, but it has the football coaches at KU completely on tilt because they're having to compete against the football programs in the Big 12 that aren't allocating portions of their NIL allotment to basketball in the same way that, there's no consensus here. So they feel like where KU football may get the old hard one, KU basketball will probably be adding 5 on top of their 7.5. So he's dealing with $12.5 million to put together his basketball team.
Damn.
He's closer to retirement than not, if you were to believe like the dynamics in play. He's got the player of his life, that at least that's what they're saying. The scuttlebutt around Lawrence is that this kid from California is that kind of guy.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, none of that existed. The commitment to NIL wasn't there. This 5-star guy, the health issues that may not even be widely known, but it sounds like privately behind the scenes is a thing that they know about in Lawrence. But amazing to think that somebody with a real finger on the pulse at KU believes that if Texas doesn't hire Rodney Terry 2 years ago, and they had approached Bill Self, that Bill Self would have taken the job. Then it was just, it's kind, there's just been kind of this vibe that he's been kicking around the idea to the point that he kicked it around last year. But now I think it sounds like we've moved past the point in his career where I think he's ever taken another job. It sounds like when the KU job ends, if he wasn't going to go back to Oklahoma State last year, that was probably the last opportunity when such a moment would occur in his career.
Yeah. By the way, Catch, quick detour here into recruiting. Sailor Joe threw us a chat earlier, said, are the rumors of the number 1 running back on the 40 today true? Sailor Joe, if you checked out the recruiting hour this week, or you'd read the 321 article from Jason Sukamel at orangebloods.com, you would have seen that list of visitors, and it did include number 1 running back in the country in this class, Xavier, interesting name, Xavier Crowell.
I love him.
Is one of those guys. Catch, we haven't really talked about him on this show a lot. You got some thoughts on Xavier Crowell, and sort of where you'd put the chances here? We're talking about a kid from Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to consider Bama, Georgia, and a lot of big schools. But what's your feel on him?
The expectation is that he'll probably end up either at Alabama or that he'll end up Georgia or somewhere closer to home. I think the betting favorite is the home state, Alabama. But there have been whispers that Texas got a better than a puncher's chance in this recruitment. you won't really know with a kid like that until you get him on campus in a situation like this.
No.
And then
He does also have an official visit scheduled for June, right?
correct. So this would be the seed planter for whatever happens in the future. I think it's too hard to handicap right now because I think you'd be, you're wishing it to come true at some point. If you're like, oh yeah, no, it's happening. No, that is putting the horse in front of the cart, which is what you want to do. So you want to put the cart in front of the horse. Wait, you want the horse to be in front of the cart, not the cart in front of the horse.
That is true.
So
unless you just got a real badass cart.
And then you just, at that point, you're just taking it easy on the horses.
I guess you just like your horse a lot at that point. Yes.
We don't even use it for us. It's for the horses. So yeah, this is business is picking Texas. I don't want to say Texas has taken the last 2 months off in recruiting, but they kind of have, at least in comparison to a lot of their peers. It really speaks. Now, I talked to a source this week and I said, hey, what do you think about LSU spending all, everybody across college football knows LSU came across an influx of money and they're kind of splashing it in recruiting and they picked up a bunch of commitments, and it really flies in the face of kind of what Texas's philosophy was on the way they built the number one recruiting class in the country last year. So I reached out to a source because I wanted to know, man, does any of this stuff with LSU change the dynamics of what the plan will be this year? And my source was like, LSU is fucking stupid because they've put their NIL cards on the table in March, and every school that is recruiting the players that have committed to LSU, they now know what the dollar prize, they know what the amount is. There will be return fire on that. They'll be put in a position of suddenly, the one thing that, and here's what every recruit is looking at, and this is the real danger of this, Chad. Let's say you're Tristan Keys, and you're committed to LSU. And LSU's like, we're going to give you $1.25 million to go to LSU. And he's like, bet. Nobody's offered more than that. Sounds great. And then everybody realizes, okay, well, 1.25 is the bar. And then you start having internal conversations as a staff, and you have them with your NIL people. And it's like, well, 1.25 is not crazy. I mean, look at what Eric Singleton got in the, you know what I mean? You start asking yourself, what the hell does it cost to get a player at that level? And it's like, I don't know, coach, we got 20 million to spend, or 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually there will be people who come back and say 1.5, 1.75, whatever the number is. The moment Tristan Keys or whatever commitment A, in the event that anybody's uncomfortable with the idea of me using a specific player, it's just an example. The moment that player goes back to LSU and says, I know what we agreed to, but I'm being offered $500,000 more at Texas A&M. Will you match? The moment they say yes, it is open season on them forever.
Yeah, then it's on in a whole nother way.
Then every single commitment that you ever have at that school knows, oh, well,
that there's a low ball offer to start with.
That you know what? It's standard operating procedure to eventually come back to you and hold you hostage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And look, Texas has 3 commitments. And deep down, other than the quarterback commitment, Diabell, I don't even know if they really want commitments right now. Really. They hate having to defend. They want to be on the offensive. They don't like to have to defend. Texas is not changing. Here's the thing that Texas fans in recruiting need to know. And there may be a couple of cases, Chad, because we saw this with DeCorian Moore in late June and July, where they all, and it was the moment that we knew, oh, okay, moving forward, Texas is going to go above the previous threshold or what they've been paying players based on what we saw them do with DeCorian Moore. It did give us an idea of, okay, they're adjusting. The price of doing business is changing. They are acknowledging that. We did kind of get an idea of, okay, well, they're willing to go to some limit. But beyond that, Texas didn't do their NIL stuff with players until after the football season started. And did it work? I mean, it seems to have. They finished with the number 1 recruiting class in the country, and they signed more super blue chips than anybody in the country. So I got to be honest. I oftentimes in recruiting, and maybe it hasn't happened yet, where I want to nitpick. It's hard to nitpick these dudes when when they just went number 1 in the country and they did the thing that I said matters the most. They signed the most super blue chips. Every time anything happens right now, I just keep thinking to myself, these dudes have proven that they know what they're doing. Will there get to a point where this strategy backfires? Probably. And I think the thing that you'll appreciate about what Steve Sarkisian has kind of been in his program is a guy that I think does occasionally get it wrong, but adjusts quickly. He's very much a subscriber to the fool me once, shame on you, fool me any more times after that, and that is on me, Jack. Mm-hmm. And so, I think when the moment calls for it, I think they will adjust. I think they will make sure that they don't tactically make a mistake that kills them. But I also think that, we're probably going to see them repeat a lot of what they did a year ago, which is you're going to see a lot of kids commit early. And Texas is not going to get lured into revealing what they want to do in NIL because of something somebody else does. It's not how they did it a year ago. And look, if you think about a guy like Michael Fasusi, in the end, Texas not coming correct with Michael Fasusi until late with their NIL offer. That didn't hurt them. What hurt them is that his mom wanted him to go to Oklahoma and that he had a best friend that was going to be a walk-on at Oklahoma. There were some mitigating circumstances that ultimately proved, I think, to be a difference in that recruitment. But when Texas finally came forward with their NIL offer, it made that kid really think.
Yeah.
He did not go, well, you didn't want to give me an offer back in August, and now you want to give me 1.5. No, he did not judge that at all.
No insult was felt.
He was like, hey, man, that's a lot of money. Let me think about it.
Hang on. 1 second. Give me a sec. Let me talk to mom about that.
And Texas had always told, the one thing I will say is that Texas, they're not communicating to these players. So when Michael Fasusi was making a decision and they said, look, we're not doing our NIL stuff right now. When we do, this is when we're going to do it. And you'll be one of the first to know. And I think you'll like it. I think you'll find that we can be forgiven. But from a tactical standpoint, if Texas reveals its cards with Michael Fasusi in August, it allows everybody that's recruiting against Texas, including Oklahoma, to then have 3 or 4 months to counter. And one of the things that Texas likes to do in NIL is whip their wallet on the table and kind of go, now or never, this is it. Mm-hmm. What they don't like to have are schools have enough time to adjust. Texas usually does make an NIL offer, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, they don't want to go back and forth. They don't want to keep right.
They do, and it's the reason why they do what they do. They don't do the back and forth.
Yeah, it's why you wait. Yeah.
And when you wait, you get a chance to see the entire market open in front of your very eyes. And it's like, how much is a guy really worth? We'll find out. Does anything change? And the longer you wait, the more intel you have to impact your what you're going to do. And I think by the end of the year, they realized Michael Fasusi is really important to what we're doing in a way that I'm not quite sure they did in August. But then when it became apparent, oh my God, we're losing Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks, and we're not totally sure how good Brandon Baker is, but we really like what we're seeing in Trevor Goosby. I just think that, they put themselves into a position where they just had better insight into what the value of a player at that position would mean to them over the course of the next 1, 2, or 3 years. So again, I have a hard time, but you're going to, over the course of the next few months, see other schools get more commitments. You're probably going to see other schools and you just have to know that Texas every year does it a certain kind of way and it works for them. And I don't think they're going to get bullied into changing their tactics until it's really proven that waiting is detrimental to their larger goals.
Tracy, I see that super chat. We will get to it. Catch, before that, your choice, Rogue Shop or vodka? Which one do you want to hit right now?
I'll go Rogue Shop.
Rogue Shop, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention.
Hey, you better take advantage of this now while we can. Who knows? Damn politicians. Read up what's happening. Things that the people don't want. But while you can, Rogue Shop, Texas is home for legal CBD, THC, and much, much more. Scan that QR code. Get your products now. Buy from a Longhorn. Buy from Burnt Orange. Blood flowing through his veins. Richard and Shar, they love their Longhorns. They love taking care of Longhorns. And the relationship that we have is fantastic. And the product is great. Believe me, I have partaken in some already today. What you need to do is scan that QR code. Just go shopping. Go check it out. If you have any questions, they're there to answer them. It's not rocket science, whether it's the salves or the cartridges or the pet products or the gummies or little resin balls. Like, there's a little bit of everything. Just go check it out. Little moon rocks. And find what is your jam and kind of go from there. Rogue Shop.
Man, I thought in 2025, Catch, both sides of the aisle had agreed that, got to be modern on this thing. Not so much? Okay.
Not in Texas.
Not in Texas. Dadgummit. All right.
Hey, man, when never mind.
Yeah, I see one super chat. That was a good job. I could tell that was some self-control.
Tracy, it really was, Chad. It really was.
Tracy, one of our favorites, with an interesting question here. $5 super chat. What's more likely to happen this upcoming season? 2 running backs over 750 each, or 2 wide receivers over 850 each?
I'll go with the latter.
That was my gut too. My gut was to lean towards the receivers.
Yeah.
I think that's the play, Tracy. I mean, obviously in a perfect first world problem where you'd want both, just take both of those things. But yeah, I would probably lean towards receiver, at least right now. Tracy, thank you very much for that super chat. If you guys want to throw one in, it will go right to the top of the list. All right, Catch, we hit a couple things that jumped out to me in Truth and Lies. What else? Anything else you wanted to hit today?
It may just be me. I found it interesting that, and this was not so much a rumor as much as something that I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm. I see what you did there. Okay.
I kind of made it a rumor, but I don't know. It was a rumor.
It's a rumor that I need to talk to you.
I just, I think I have a real good sense for who Chris Del Conte talks to amongst media guys.
Mm-hmm.
He loves newspaper guys. Loves them. Loves newspaper guys more than he loves anything else.
And I think, does he have one of those old hats, you think, with the word press, with a little card?
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think Chip Brown has been grandfathered into
right.
because I think his relationship with Del Conte goes back to a long time. I think back when Chip would have worked at the Morning News or even the Associated Press.
Yeah.
So I feel like whenever there's Del Conte related stuff to keep an eye on, always keep an eye on the newspaper guys. What's Bowles saying? What are the Statesman guys saying?
Mm-hmm.
For instance, it was the Statesman. I'm pretty sure they either broke. I think they broke the Rodney Terry is officially been fired story.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen by accident. They got that was handed to them on a silver platter, in my opinion, based on my interpretation of like how this stuff works, right? And I found it really interesting that as I was reporting, I felt like a lot of my stuff ended up matching Kurt Bowles' stuff. For instance, I was hearing about Billy Donovan and Quinn Snyder as potential candidates and the reasons why.
Yeah.
He had that too. I debunked the Will Wade thing pretty early.
Right.
In an article 8 days ago, he mentions Will Wade being a guy that Del Conte had moved on from. Kurt Bowles did an article 8 days ago, right? How many days has it been since Sean Miller was even announced? That was 4 days ago? 3 days ago?
Yes. It was announced. When did they officially announce it? Sunday or Monday?
They announced it
Sunday, press conference Tuesday?
Well, they announced it Monday.
And presser
and then they had the press conference on Tuesday.
Okay.
So like it's 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Or 4 days on top, 4 days back from when any of this stuff would have happened because Terry hadn't even lost his job at that point. He listed the names of 8 coaches as possible suggestions. He mentions the tech guy. He mentions a bunch of guys that were, I think, considered and guys that weren't.
And were Snyder and what's his name on there too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Sean Miller's name wasn't in there at all. I just started thinking about it, and I was like, well, we all know, and I think Chip had reported this a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken. I know this has been discussed. I think Bowles has written about this too. Like, it's pretty common knowledge that Del Conte liked Sean Miller 2 years ago.
Okay. Just
like we've reported over at Orange Bloods that Del Conte liked James Franklin and Mario Cristobal. And that, timing as much as anything is everything in life. And those two coaches ended up getting, I guess James Franklin's ended up having more success at Penn State, but obviously we know Cristobal's gone from Oregon to Miami. And but nevertheless, his name just wasn't being talked about as an urgent front runner. I mean, it wasn't like I was reporting what I was reporting, and then somebody would come over to us and go, whoa, hey, you guys are missing the boat. They keep talking about over here, it's going to be Sean Miller. Why is reporter X or website X saying Sean Miller, and you guys aren't? That just wasn't happening. I think Del Conte went out of his way to keep Sean Miller out of...
Protect his guy?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think he went out, and I think it's different than what he did in 2021 with a potential football hire. I think there were some trial balloons. I think it's interesting that the NBA guys were trial ballooned and discussed, and at no point over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks before any of this happened was there a 2 or 3 day window where Sean Miller was, hey, everybody keep an eye on this, and then we all litigated. What we ended up doing was after it was clear he was going to be the guy, we all went, oh, duh.
Yeah. That makes sense. And the other thing that does catch is in that process would have been discussing Miller's full history, including the stuff at Arizona. And then CDC goes the extra step of cushioning it at the presser. He made that mention to the media and it backed them all off.
Yeah.
But he said bump in the road. He made that comment.
I don't know that anybody in that media group was going to ask about that anyway.
And I don't know if they are either, but just to make sure, he laid that out. And then all of them kind of had probably that same thought, whether they knew they had it or not. It's like, well, yeah. A, do I really want to get into this? Do I really want to be the person that asks that of Sean Miller at his very first presser? And it didn't happen. So, yeah, that is interesting.
It's fucking market. You're right, but I really don't. He did do that. I just don't think it mattered.
Yeah.
At
You think
75% of the people were asking questions had no idea that anything ever even happened at Arizona.
Right. I mean, it's almost like at the intro Sarkeesian press conference. Does anybody want to ask the question of what have you learned, right? In your comeback from whatever it was, what have you learned? And it could have even been something that simple, but that's not how it was. They could have even asked him an NIL question and referenced it, some version of, hey, a lot of that stuff that happened in Arizona kind of out in front right now. Your thoughts, but that didn't really happen.
That did not really happen, Chad. That's not what happened at all.
Nope. It did not. Interesting notes. Truth and Lies, orangebloods.com. We have this QR code for you up all the time, the easy way for you to join OB. But as Ketch said earlier, there is a special going on all the way through Sunday. Let's flash it up because it's a cool graphic with a couple of mascots. Actually, that's probably the same mascot twice, right? That's just hook 'em twice. That's double hook 'em for you there. And valid through Sunday. You click on the QR code. Make sure you use the promo code UT Spring 25. 50% off your first year of OB. Imagine that. You're going to get 50% off your first year of OB, and it's the year Arch Manning takes over as the quarterback. I mean, come on. Come on. All right. Anything else we need to hit truth or lies wise, Mr. Ketchum?
No.
Or anything else in general you want to talk about?
No, I'm good. We can't hang out too long because I have a virtual doctor's appointment coming up. So,
okay. So in that case, I probably won't mention to you the final results of the Chance Mock basketball list because that would cause a conversation. You will not be proud of him. So we'll have to save that. So we will buy or sell right after I flash up pictures of vodka drinks because I do of all those drinks they sing about in that song. I think the vodka drink is definitely my favorite. They got a few out at Deep Eddy Vodka, the tasting room. There's new ones out there now because there's pineapple out there now. If you haven't gotten that pineapple Deep Eddy Vodka, you can obviously get it at Specs. We mentioned Specs earlier, a great sponsor. But they also have bottles out there at the tasting room itself. So when you go out and have a tasting or have some cocktails or some of the great barbecue there at Crimson Creek Smokehouse, make sure you grab yourself a bottle, maybe some gear as well. They got a lot of cool stuff out there. Be safe with it, of course, and double check the weather because you got the rain on and off this week. But find yourself a good day, and they have a great situation going on out there. Good outdoor and indoor seating. I always have a good time out at the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. So good. I had me some pineapple Deep Eddy last night during the Outsider show. It's what helped me get through Chance's movie list, actually. All right, Catch, you want to go first or second today?
I'm kind of disappointed because I didn't take advantage of my time to finish my buy or sell question, so I don't have 5 today.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you go first.
All right.
And then maybe I can finish off my 3.
Okay. There you go. Look at you always trying to challenge yourself. I like that. All right. Here we go. Buy or sell number 1. You think Sark attacks the spring portal like he's got 105 scholarships as a max, not 85?
Well, sell. I think he'll attack it like he's got an 85-man scholarship limit, but it'll be sitting at 76. Like I don't think you need to attack it like it's 105 when you're almost double digits below the the limit. So I think Texas is sitting at 81 right now. That's before any other attrition occurs. I feel like I know a couple of guys that are definitely going to be out the door. One guy in particular that I just know has made it pretty clear behind the scenes that he just wanted to kind of get through the spring and then would likely portal out. So they're going to be in the 70s. And I think they'll have more than enough room to do exactly what it is that they want to do. Okay. So yeah, I think they'll be very ultimately in the spirit of what you're asking. I could probably have gone with a bye, but I don't know. I probably nitpicked your words a little too much. Apologies.
Okay. All right. Buy or sell number 2, Catch. Let's go to the hardwood. Sweet 16 starts tonight. You'll take the 1 seeds, Duke and Florida, to advance.
Buy. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have them in my brackets.
Okay.
Going that far. I don't know. Anything goes at this point in the tournament. So I almost don't look especially if it's like a 1 versus a 4 or 5. You start getting those type of battles. I mean, I don't know that I would be surprised. The teams that I think I'd be surprised losing at this stage for me would be Houston and Auburn are the 2 teams that I still think are a cut above everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm taking the 1s to win. It's funny. I have a question for you about the Sweet 16 matchups, but you kind of answered it a little bit, but I don't care. I'm going to ask it anyway.
Fair enough. Yeah, both of those 1s are taking on 4s. Arizona's a 4 and Maryland's a 4 tonight. Good chalky tournament so far. Well done, men's basketball. They've needed chalk for a long time, and they got a big hunk of it this year. Buy or sell number 3, the other side, Catch. Bama beats BYU, and Arkansas upsets Tech. SEC bias. Buy or sell?
Sell. I think BYU is going to beat Alabama tonight.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I'm completely open-minded to the idea that Arkansas can beat Tech. And it could go that way, but BYU can score the ball, man. They can score.
By the way, Catch, I don't know that there are very few matchups create more of those special negative feelings for me than when Tech plays Arkansas. Oh my Lord. I watch that game like I've had some bad food. Just do not enjoy either one of those 2. All right, Catch, buy or sell number 4. You saw Cena and Cody on the mic this week. Meh.
So I didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah, you don't need to go. Well, you could, but I would tell
you. I mean,
it
couldn't have been that good. It hasn't been brought out in front of me in a way where it's like, I have to see this. So.
Oh my God. Watching John Cena try to be a heel is so, I don't even know how to describe it. It is so obvious. You can see the gears turning and it's hilarious. All right. And finally, Catch, how about this birthday? Buy or sell number 5, Mariah Carey and Fergie share a birthday today. Prime on prime. Mariah, hotter than Fergie.
I'll go buy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very early Mariah fan.
Boy, she was something in the early days, wasn't she? Jeez.
Before she really becomes Mimi, and really before she became heavier on top than she was at the bottom.
Fair.
She used to be, AT would have said she's a small piece of leather that's well put together.
Yes, she was.
She had that vibe, and then it all changed. For me, when she had that vibe, I thought she was sexy as hell. That was, for me, peak Mariah, early Mariah. And I would take that over Fergie.
Sometimes, Catch, it's not you turning an age that makes you feel old. It's those around you. Fergie is 50 today. Like, I just turned 50, but to know that she did.
This doesn't make me feel old.
I've been with Fergie since Kids Incorporated, dude. I was like, because I'm exactly her age. I mean, yeah, that makes me feel damn old. Happy birthday to Mariah and Fergie today. All right, Catch, that's my 5.
Hold on, let me just. I have a hotter than.
Hang on, he's got a hotter than.
Type it in and be done with it.
He's got a hotter than. He's typing it in while
he's Fergie hotter than.
Oh, I do love a Fergie hot because I would have taken Fergie.
I'm going to bring you a Fergie hotter than buy or sell number one.
Okay.
If Bill Self had come to Texas in 2023, he would have been a success.
Oh yeah, buy.
Because he could also be a guy that suddenly has health problems and maybe it doesn't quite go as
that's
we all
true,
think
but
it might have gone.
I'll just assume that the basketball part would have. I mean, I'm going to assume he would have been able to coach and he would have been able to hit over the bar that Texas would have needed him to. Yes.
Buy or sell number two. You can tell me the NCAA tournament games tonight.
Okay, hang on. Even though I wrote them down, let's see if I can do it. I'm going to say buy. It's the Duke Arizona game. I got to get all the teams right.
Yeah, I want to hear the matchups.
Okay, so it's Florida and Maryland. Duke plays Arizona. Tech plays Arkansas. And the one I'm missing is the first one. Damn it. What's the first game? Oh, crap.
You said it earlier.
Did I say it earlier?
Think of the two SEC games, and then there's the.
I know. I hit the 1 seeds. We mentioned those. I hit the Tech Arkansas game. BYU Bama. There it is.
I was waiting for it.
Okay,
Buyers, I knew you would get there, and then if you didn't, you'd be so mad at yourself. Buy or sell number 3. MLB opens. I said tonight, but today you care.
Buy. I mean, lowercase buy. It's baseball. They play 700 games. But yes, I care. I got 2 baseball teams for weird reasons. I'm a Rangers guy. I'm a Braves guy. Let's go. Yes, I care. I dig baseball.
I mean, I dig. The Phillies will play at 3. I'll be watching, but I
peek in.
I care yet.
Yeah, I always peek in on that opening day because you get those opening day butterflies. Now, am I going to be like grinding on game 3 and 4? No, that's not how I do it.
Buy or sell number 4. I hate to go super hot take here, but LeBron James is winning you over at 40 years old in the GOAT conversation.
It was a buy until you got to the end there. He's winning me over at 40 years old in general, yes. But in the GOAT conversation, no, that's a sell. I'm going to be a Michael Jordan guy in that discussion. There's not anything LeBron James is going to be able to do between now and the finish line to get me to think he's the best basketball player that ever lived over Michael Jordan. It's not going to happen.
I mean, what if he was first team All-NBA at 50 years old?
I mean, that's impressive. That doesn't make him the greatest basketball player ever. It just doesn't. Because, first team All-NBA at 50. Okay. I mean, it's cool.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the Jordan discussion. I'm asking you though, what is it that absolutely puts Jordan above LeBron that is impeachable at this point?
I mean, what's the easiest way to say it?
Is it just 6-0 in the finals and that's it?
A better player in a better era? I mean, that might be the simplest way to say it. Yeah. I mean, the 6-0 is a big part of it. Never saw him get busted up in the finals is a part of it. I mean, he was a cold-blooded basketball killer in a way that LeBron just isn't. And that's not an indictment. That's just a celebration of Michael.
Is there nothing to be said for LeBron doing it longer and better than Michael did and never retired in the middle or was forced out or had a gamble? Whatever it was that caused the baseball, like that never happened in his prime. Like Mike does get some free passes on things that LeBron would never get a free pass on. If the shoe were on the other foot and Michael Jordan had never taken 2 years off and LeBron in the middle of the social media era had been like, I'm a little burned out, I'm taking 2 years off for whatever reason, he would have been murdered for that.
Yeah.
And they would have said, Michael Jordan never did that.
You're right. No, it's just the comparison of kind of later parts of the career.
Like Michael Jordan was a bum by this stage of his career.
Right. I think I'm one of those that I'm going to measure like the best sort of to the best. And maybe I'm not measuring the wizard part of Michael.
If he played 10 more years and won 3 more championships and was all NBA good the rest of the way through, would that do it? Like, there's just nothing. And I don't know if there's a right or wrong. I'm only asking. There's nothing.
Yeah. I think the thing he's chasing isn't Michael to me. He's chasing things like Kareem. He's
already past Kareem. He's got more career points.
Oh, I understand, but that isn't right.
What does Kareem have on LeBron at this point?
Right, but it's that longevity thing, right? Like that's what one of the things Kareem was known for by the end of his career. It was that incredible consistency, the longevity, the scoring record and stuff.
But even he was kind of a bum by the time he was this age. I don't know. Like, LeBron amazes me, man. We've just never seen anything like it. All of the mileage on his legs.
Yeah, I agree. That doesn't, and I agree with everything you.
But he's already one of the top 2 players that ever lived. And he just keeps adding to this. And it's like, well, you know what? You can add all you want to it. It ain't ever going to make a difference. It's kind of odd.
He's the greatest multifaceted weapon I've ever seen play basketball, ever. He's the combination of some of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life. But it's like, yeah, it's a tough discussion because it makes you get forced into ripping on one of them. And I hate that part of it because I love them both. I'm not a LeBron hater at all. I sat and watched the whole Pat McAfee thing because I just wanted to hear what he had to say. I dig LeBron.
I didn't see any of the McAfee thing. Did he say anything interesting?
Yeah, there was a couple things. It was good. I mean, it was good.
I saw a quote where Stephen A. Smith said he was going to swing on LeBron.
I'll be honest, I have not followed the Stephen A. part of it specifically.
Me either, but then I saw that comment. It was like, oh, yeah. Stephen A., shut up.
Right. There were a couple good
stories. On LeBron. Okay. Sure you were.
Yeah, there were a couple good stories, though, that were told.
Buy or sell, number 5. It's a hotter than Pink. Hotter than Fergie.
Oh, I like this one. This is good. Big fan of both. The Pink documentary on whatever it is, Amazon Prime or whatever, was fantastic. Hadn't watched that till recently. Man. Whew. This is interesting. Man, I could make an argument for both sides of this thing. Because it really is a matter of taste. It really is a matter of what you're into. I'm going to sell and go Fergie.
Wow.
Just slightly. Okay. Just slightly. I'm going to sell and go Fergie just a little bit. Total package, it's Pink by a distance. By a distance. Who would I rather hang out with? Who's more talented? Who's all that stuff? Hotter than? I think it's Fergie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't tell a man he's wrong about what he likes.
I know. We can't account for taste.
But I'm not this time.
All right, Catch, we did miss a super chat. Thank you to Barb's10. $9.99. Did y'all catch the silence after Chavez announced City of Norman? The audience family didn't even clap, cheer. Any untold insight on this? I didn't see the announcement. She said City of Norman.
You know, so. I trust me, she didn't pick a place that her family didn't want her to go to.
Okay.
I'd not heard that the family was all into Texas and she went the other way. Like the sense that I've got is that in the end, she made the decision and everybody was very comfortable with it and happy and content.
Gotcha. Barb's10, thank you very much for that super chat. Catch, speaking of OU and Texas and such things, I did throw a post up on orangebloods.com today. I was looking at, we the other day we were talking about the schedules and 2026 and that the SEC is going to, there's a new schedule coming in 2026. To me, this season is so important for Texas to strike while they have the schedule they have. So this is the expanded version of something we talked about the other day. Last year, there were 8 teams in the SEC that won 9 games or more and were a winning record in the conference team. There were 8 of them. Texas is one of them, obviously. Of those 8 teams, Oklahoma's going to play 7 of them this year, and Texas plays 1. It's a crazy stat. And in the post, I go through some of the other teams and how many they play, but Texas only plays Georgia on the road. That's it. And this season, for multiple reasons for me, because the SEC, we don't know what they're going to do in 2026. Texas has an opportunity in 2025 to once again take advantage of what the SEC's given you, because they may be about to change it a lot. Let's see. Another
Sorry,
super chat.
I got hijacked.
Late. Okay. That was the hijack face. Is that what I saw?
That was
10
the hijack face.
$10 super chat. Top 5 UT football position duos of all time. Wow, Money B. Ricky and Priest, Roy and BJ, Huff and Ross. All right, Money B. Not sure what. Look at that. You giving me a suggestion for outsiders? Is that what it is? I have to write that down.
Top 5 UT position duos of all time.
Position duos.
I mean, we wouldn't include Ricky and Priest because at that point you're really talking about Priest's NFL stuff. Like Priest was a number 3. If you were going to do duos, Sean Mitchell was 1,000-yard running back the year that Priest was a senior. Roy and BJ, stop. Quan and Jordan is a better duo than Roy and BJ.
Yeah. How about Vincent Chance and Chris and Major? You throw those in.
Vincent Colt had a year.
Vincent Colt. That's all I forgot.
I mean, Colt will tell you that 1 year with Vince played a huge role in kind of who he became as a quarterback, certainly in 2006.
That's good. Yeah, you weren't the only one thinking of that one.
Bijan and Roshan's not a bad one.
Ooh, Bijan and Roshan's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. I'm with you on Quan and Shipley. I like that one. Cosby, Shipley, that has to be in the discussion. Those two dudes, when they were together, that was impressive.
I mean, you can go back to the older Texas teams from the 60s, and you could do any combination of guys that played on that 69 national championship team. James Street and pick a guy. Street and Wooster or I mean, it's kind of endless. You could, I'm sure, pick any guy off that 63 team and just put him next to Tommy Nobis. And then that gets to count as a duo of some sorts.
And when you say duo, you're kind of being
position duo though, right?
And when you say position duo, you're kind of being unfair to the offensive linemen. But can we put together like a tackle and a guard? And
sure.
You call
do
that
whatever you want to. We're inventing this on the fly.
Exactly.
I mean, Hampton and Rogers has to be up there on the defense. Those guys were synonymous with each other.
Absolutely. That's a good call. Yeah, that one. Yeah, because the D tackle duos are legendary, and that one was, that was silly. Yeah, Hampton and Rogers.
Derek Johnson and Aaron Harris has to be. If people forget about Aaron Harris, but he was an All-American.
What would you do with the D? Like, if you were doing like 2 DBs off of that championship team in 05, like, do you do? They said Huff and Ross, but I mean, is that the way you'd go?
I would probably go Huff and Griffin.
Okay.
I mean, Ross of 2006 wasn't the Ross of 2005. So Huff didn't play with the version of Ross that we're all thinking that would have us put him in that group. He and Terrell Brown were alternating reps. They were co-starters together. Cedric Griffin was the primary corner on that team.
Yeah. This is a good one from recently. Yeah, Sweat and Murphy. Big shout out those
is a real good one.
That was a good duo right there. And hey, Collins and Broughton were pretty good last year too. Even more recent.
I mean,
I don't know if they were all-time top 5, but they were
Rockemeyer and Dan Neal.
Ooh, there you go. I'm all about a discussion that works. Dan Neal.
I mean, I don't know that there's a better 1-2 offensive line punch than that.
Yeah. I just like that idea because whether it's outside or I guess you could do a center and a guard, but I just love the idea of taking that, giving the guard tackle combo.
They were side by side next to each other.
Yeah. That was an imposing duo. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's an interesting conversation, Money B. Thank you for throwing that
Vince
in.
Young and Matt Nordgren. Like, does it matter? Is Vince and somebody has to be in that group?
Hey, once Matt Nordgren dribbled that ball in Waco, he deserves to be in a duo.
Sorry, Chance.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would go Vince and Chance, but hey, Nordgren, come on now.
I mean, only one guy had a reality TV show.
I'm gonna suggest this, Money B, for next week's Mach 5 Top 5. We're gonna make Chance come back from his basketball movie list from last night. It was not pleasant. So
did you what was his list? You might as well tell me.
Oh my God, Catch. Okay.
In like 2 minutes, because I have to go.
His original list was Space Jam at 5, The Pistol at 4, the story of Pistol Pete.
Oh my God.
Basketball at 3.
What?
Blue Chips at 2, and White Men Can't Jump at 1. So I had to go back in later and insert both Hoosiers and, for personal sake, Teen Wolf. It was sad. It was
I've
really sad.
never heard anybody say Hoosiers doesn't crack top 5.
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, what are we doing? So yeah, I took the Pistol and Space Jam out. I put Hoosiers and Teen Wolf in just out of principle.
I mean, I guess He Got Game has nothing on the Pistol.
And it's funny, I looked up a list, Catch, yesterday of the top 20 basketball movies. They had White Men Can't Jump at 1. Like, I know it's a good movie, but the best basketball movie ever made?
Basketball is a hard sport to shoot in movies.
It is.
Because you can't, like, we know what good basketball looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And finding actors who can play, like, that's what, no offense to Chance, but part of what makes He Got Game such a good basketball movie is that Ray Allen is good as an actor in that movie. But when he and Denzel have the definitive basketball scene in the movie,
now you know it's real.
Denzel looks like he can ball.
Right.
And look, you and I have Teen Wolf in our top 5, but it's partly because we watch that and know that Michael J. Fox cannot ball.
Right. I get it. And I get it. Yeah. And trust me, I didn't put Teen Wolf all the way up at number 1. I let him have his White Men Can't Jump, but I had to get it in. I had to get Scott Howard into the discussion. So
who wins in a hypothetical 2-on-2?
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. Go ahead. No, I like where you're going. I can tell where you're going.
It's Woody and Wesley.
Woody and Wesley.
Against Scott Howard and Chubbs.
Scott Howard and Chubby. Is it Scott Howard or is it the Wolf?
I mean, at the end, it didn't matter. He was able to be the Wolf even if he didn't turn into the Wolf. Okay.
Well, that was adorable. Well said. And that shows you've watched it as much or more than I have. I think the answer does depend. I think Scott Howard.
They win the final game and he balls out.
Right. But with all due respect to Nick and the Dragons, Wesley and Woody can play. All right.
I'm letting Scott be the Wolf.
I'm taking
it's
Wesley.
Wolf and Chubbs.
Oh, if it's Wolf and Chubbs, I'm picking Wolf and Chubbs. I think Wolf and Chubbs wins a close one. I think Scott and Chubbs lose a close one.
I think Wolf and Chubbs is running the court and taking everybody's money all day long.
But I think whatever happens, they'll talk about it at Rucker Park because that's where you got to play it forever.
Hey, imagine that movie. Remember when Marquise Johnson goes to get the gun? Imagine Scott Howard is there as a wolf and what Marquise Johnson's reaction at that point would have been.
And the eyes turn red. Give me a keg of beer. Oh, my God. That is fantastic. All right, you got to go. You got to run.
I do. I have literally something I have to do in like 5 minutes. So.
Okay, thank y'all for liking, subscribing, getting your notifications. We'll be back tomorrow for another show at noon. Football with Friends at 6 tonight and Old Fashioned with Anwar tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thanks to Catch, of course. Thanks to all of you. Thank y'all for the support. If you didn't like on the way in, make sure you like it on the way out. And one more time, let me just throw it up. The special is out there through Sunday. Get on orangebloods.com. You've thought about it. This is the time to do it. There's your QR code. The promo code is UTSpring25. What a great deal. 50% off for your first year of OB. It is a great way to get started. Y'all have yourselves a great rest of your Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon.